Hello, I'm Anthony Hobbs, and this is my review of Star Wars Rebels. And yes, we have a fair bit of visual aid for this. There's the main vehicles you'll see in episodes of Star Wars Rebels. But I'll start with a bit of backstory. Star Wars Rebels takes place about 5 years before the events of Star Wars Episode 4. And it's about when the rebellion was a relatively new thing, yeah. Which is odd, really. When I was a child, I assumed the Galactic Empire had been around for centuries to get that powerful to take over the whole galaxy. No, they'd only been going about 15 years. And then, in the 5 years after that, that's when the rebellion started. So yeah, not that long at all. Just, well, they're good at mass-producing vehicles so they can take over in double quick time, yeah. And, okay, very quickly, I'll mention the A-Wing. I clearly stated in one of my other reviews the A-Wing is not supposed to have been invented until the events of Return of the Jedi. Well, we see A-Wings in the cartoon droids, and we see A-Wings in some of the episodes of Star Wars Rebels. Now, is this a blooper, or is it on purpose? Have they deliberately done that because it's a reboot, basically? Disney now owns Star Wars, and they've changed the rules and said, no, from now on we're saying A-Wings exist in this time so that we can sell the toys. So, not a blooper, a reboot. They've changed the rules a bit, yes. And, here are some stormtroopers here, yeah. And, okay, these are not from Star Wars, these are the original stormtrooper toys. But we see a heck of a lot of them in the cartoon, yeah. Because you Star Wars fans, some like the original trilogy, some like the new one, the prequel one. And some like a bit of both, but I think a lot of Star Wars fans, they miss the old school stormtroopers, the TIE fighters and X-Wings, and so they want to see that back. So that's what we get with Star Wars Rebels, because it's set during that sort of time period, yeah. Now these stormtroopers, they don't look exactly like this in the Star Wars Rebels cartoon. They look ever so slightly different. Now that's not a mistake, that's on purpose, because you see the style of the Rebels cartoon is very influenced by the original concept art of Ralph McQuarrie. He designed lots of the Star Wars characters and the soldiers and stuff, so what they initially were meant to look like, yeah. A better example of this is, of course, Garazeb, or also just called Zeb for short. He's like the big, strong guy, the tough guy of the crew, and he looks like what Chewbacca was originally meant to look like, yeah. Sort of big pointy ears, a furry face, but not completely covered in fur like Chewie is, yeah. So it's sort of symbolic in a way. And, okay, let's get on with the vehicles here, yes. That's the Ghost there, the main spaceship. Not the Millennium Falcon, but clearly a pun on the Millennium Falcon. You know, the driving section is similar like window. Okay, it's in the middle instead of at the side. But we have bits for carrying cargo, like the Millennium Falcon. And we have little gun turret things that you sit in a seat here and there, yeah. But unlike the Millennium Falcon, we have this one here, the Phantom Attack Shuttle. I think that's designed for just one person. Well, basically it folds up into a little box and clips into this, like it's a module. It's a piece of the main Ghost ship, yeah. And basically Rebels, it's about, well, as the title suggests, it's about rebels. And they go and they're the crew on board the Ghost, and they do hit and run missions. They attack, members of the Empire, destroy a base, and then disappear as fast as possible, yeah. Disappear like a ghost, yes. They specialise in hit-and-run missions, yeah. Now, the main guy, called Ezra, in the first episode of Rebels, he's not a rebel at all. He has no interest in politics, no interest in fighting the Empire. He's a penniless thief, and he's only interested in self-preservation, just stealing enough food for himself, yeah. And then accidentally, he ends up on board the Ghost, the spaceship, and the others say, you've got brilliant stealing skills, you could be very useful in our missions against the Empire. And then, I think he's called Kanan or something, he's like a Jedi, and he realises that Ezra has force power, so with proper training he could become a good Jedi. And when he shows Ezra a lightsaber, his reaction is, what is that? What does it do? Because he doesn't know what a lightsaber is. Because you have to understand the Jedi are practically extinct. Most people don't even know what they are. And the ones that do know just know about rumours of old stories, but they're not sure if the stories are true or not. So yes, Jedi are practically forgotten about in this time period. Because, of course, the Empire hunt down and destroy any remaining Jedi. If you are a Jedi, you're going to be shot on sight, basically, yeah. so it has to be kept a secret. And here we have a very tiny, but that's I think that's Kanan there, the proper trained Jedi Knight. He becomes like Ezra's father figure, like his mentor, yeah. And next to him we have a Sith Lord with a double-ended lightsaber that swivels around on like a spindle. I don't know his name. He's just known as the Inquisitor, yeah, as his name suggests. He specialises in interrogating people and finding out whether or not you have the Force. Yes, because some pretend they don't have the Force even though they don't, so he's specialised now. And yes, he's a deadly enemy, yeah. And I think that's meant to be a Wookiee spaceship there. And there we have an Imperial troop transport. You might recognise it because, yes, they had a bigger version of that in the late 70s in the original Star Wars toy line that's designed for carrying spaceships, stormtroopers. It's like a hover coach thing. And here we have a kind of Scout Walker. That's the AT-DP Scout Walker. Only has one cannon at the front instead of two. So yes, it's like the precursor to the Scout Walker that we all know, yeah. And apparently this vehicle did make appearances in some of the Star Wars comics before. So yes, it's no stranger to the Star Wars universe. And I'll be honest, in the first episode, when Ezra, as I said, he starts out as a thief just trying to get by, and he does it in a very jolly, merry way. It's very like the Disney film Aladdin, you know, the way he outwits the soldiers and everything. Well, is that on purpose? Yes, probably it is, because at this point, yes, Disney owns Star Wars, yeah. And yes, it's very enjoyable stories, it's very good, and it feels like it's part of the Star Wars universe. It's the sort of stuff you'd expect to have. Nothing feels out of place. And there are cameos, yes, R2-D2, C-3PO, Lando Calrissian, Darth Vader. Oh, and strangely enough, a cameo from the robot that looks slightly familiar. But where have I seen that robot before? It's the robot from the Disneyland Star Wars ride. You know? So, okay, he makes an appearance, yeah. And, oh yes, Ezra, he never knows who his real parents are, just like Luke Skywalker, yeah. Yes, we have, like, a hero who doesn't know his parents. You have, like, a father figure, a mentor. Chopper, the little robot, the repair droid, you know, that's like a pun on R2-D2. Zeb is a pun on Chewbacca. So yes, if you like, rehashes of the original characters. Now, is that good or bad? Well, in droids, the masters of the robots were not rehashes of Luke or Leia. No, they were totally different characters, and the Star Wars fans didn't like that. So to give the fans what they want, either give them rehashes of characters that are familiar with. The sort of characters you'd expect to find in the Star Wars universe. In other words, unlike droids, there's loads of lightsaber fighting in these episodes, yeah. So, yeah, Star Wars Rebels is good, and it does justice to the overall Star Wars franchise, yeah. And it expands, we see more planets we didn't see before, yeah. And, yes, they've made some good toys. These are just dinky ones, but they've done a lot bigger ones, yeah. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm AD Hobbs, and I'm never bored.